From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line. Nick Barris here with you on a Thursday. We've got a good show on tap. I want to invite you to join in the conversation. We're going to kind of have a split show here. We're going to have a guest to kick off things, and then after that, we're going to go later in the program to some open phones. A lot of things going on right now, and invite you to sound off on it. A lot of things in the news that we can touch bases on. I'll set the table for you when we do that as well. But if there's anything on your mind you would like to talk about, think about it and join us. But also, if you'd like to call in and join right now as we talk again about the ongoing debate and decision making that not only school districts and school directors have to make, but parents as well, with the idea of returning to school, all right, and having in-person classes as opposed to virtual classes. As we know here in Metro Nashville, it's all virtual right now, with an idea of at some point maybe coming back. Other school districts have done differently, with mixed results. Frankly, we've seen just over the past 24 hours that Spring Hill High School has had to send kids back home for virtual learning because of a COVID-19 outbreak there. And we've had reports now, as the state's beginning to document it, of how many children are being infected with the virus and having gone back to school and the like. It's a balancing act is really what it comes down to, and what you think. And that's part of what's happening here in Metro Nashville, one of the biggest school districts in the country. And obviously the students are a factor, so are the teachers. And joining us to talk about where they fall down on all this, as well as the direction, is Amanda Kail. Can you hear me, Amanda? She's president of MNEA, Metro Nashville Education Association, and that's the teachers union. And obviously you guys take a hard look at what's happening with regard to safety, not only of course for the children, but they're not there alone. There are teachers there as well, and whether it's safe. And right now it's virtual learning, correct?
Yes, although we are starting to return with some of our special day schools for our students with the most severe and profound disabilities. So we're starting with a slow return to that. It will be parents' choice if they would like to return or remain online. And then after our fall break, they're going to, if the data is still looking positive, then they're going to start having early elementary return. Okay,
and yeah, I see that the superintendent or director of schools, Adrian Battle, has basically said, you know, we want to send out these surveys, right? And the parents will respond on the surveys, how they feel about it, and they'll take into account that kind of feedback as well as the COVID numbers. And so throughout the process, when it finally comes, and we're hearing everything from October 8th to October 15th, whatever, will parents always be given the choice, do you believe, or will it be something that'll be mandated? Yeah, we're all going back.
At this point, it will be choice this semester at the very least. So parents will decide whether they want to be online or back in a school building. And, you know, the thing is, once they make that decision, they're locked into that decision. There will be an opportunity at the very end of the semester if they want to change their mind. But, you know, for staffing reasons, we need to have parents commit to one decision or the other. So they're going to have to make that decision now.
That makes sense. I'm just wondering, yeah, this is just a practical question as I ask, as I see other districts and what everyone's doing. When that happens and some kids are staying home virtually and then others are in the classroom, is that's where it's set up throughout the day. There'll be the class setting with in-person students, with the teacher, and there'll be a camera set up so the other kids who are at home are basically seeing what's happening in the classroom. Is that how that works?
No, actually, this is where MNPS is going to be doing things a little differently, and we're very pleased that they are, because I have heard from my colleagues in Rutherford County, for example, how absolutely overwhelmed and exhausted the teachers are from trying to do virtual and in person at the same time. It's the workload is just overwhelming for those teachers. So here in MNPS, we will be doing, teachers will either be doing in person or they will be doing online, but they won't be doing both.
Oh, okay. So you'll have, but now, does that mean you'll have to have more teachers? If there's one class that a teacher teaches, and let's say 20 students are at home and 20 are in class, then that teacher will be in the classroom with those students, and there'll be another teacher that handles those 20 that are virtual?
Yeah, so, we have to kind of wait and see how the numbers are going to shake out. We need to know how many parents are going to choose which option before we can really commit the staffing. The district has committed to making sure that kids that they're still connected to their school. Teachers, on the other hand, may be shifted around as needed. So it's really going to be, we really have to see where things end up playing out as far as the numbers of students who choose to be online versus in person. But, the thing is, we don't have extra teachers, right? We've been in a teacher shortage for many years. Metro Nashville schools, our teacher salaries right now rank 17th in the state. And we're a state that ranks 45th in the nation. So that gives you a sense of, why we might have some problems with teacher vacancies. And that was a problem before COVID. And so now that we've gone through COVID, that's a continual issue, the funding. Mm-hmm. So, we don't have extra teachers. We don't have extra classrooms. We won't be able to have social distancing. We won't be able to have 6 feet of distance between all students. That's just not feasible. And the district acknowledges that. So, that's a thing parents should think about, that won't happen. We just don't have the space, and we don't have the extra teachers to break it up so that we have small class sizes. We will have regular class sizes. I'm
just wondering then, as where you sit there and you confer with, obviously the teachers that you work with, and you look around at the other districts and what's happening there. You talk about how you've talked to some of your counterparts in Rutherford County and other counties that are doing it a bit differently. What is your observation right now? I imagine you're pleased with the fact that at least Metro seems to be taking this a more conservative approach, and what you've observed elsewhere, what do you think? And are you worried that it's going to get worse beyond what we've just seen, as I mentioned, with Spring Hill High School having to close, and the chicken's going to come home to roost, and we're going to say, whoa, we shouldn't have gone back in the first place? So what's your take?
Well, one thing I am extremely grateful for is that Dr. Battle has really stuck to the science. She has really been very clear about looking at the metrics and making sure that the metrics show that it is safe. Right now we have a lot of metrics that are in the yellow, not the green, but not the red. I think that doing a very slow, cautious approach, starting with the students who, are least likely to be able to benefit from an online learning system, and then moving slowly outward from there makes sense. I think that it'll just be really important that when parents make their decisions, that they understand that what they're going back to is not normal school.
Right.
Going to be things are going to be pretty different, and to make sure that students understand it's not going to be a normal school day. That being said, I was at a meeting last night with some of my colleagues from Hamilton County, some of my colleagues from Rutherford County, Fentress County, and they're really struggling. And I think here the difference is that we have taken a very cautious, measured approach, very much based on the public health data. And we've seen other districts that have just, in Rutherford, they waited until the absolute last minute. And then, they said they were going to just open normally, no mask mandates, absolutely nothing to protect the teachers, which was terrifying for their teachers. And then, at the last minute said, oh, well, we'll give a virtual option, but there was no time at all to prepare. And, here at MNPS, time has not been abundant for sure, but we have had at least some lead time. And I think that our district has overwhelmingly erred on the side of protecting people and keeping people safe. And I am extremely grateful for that. And I think MNPS has really led the state in that.
I wonder, do you get a sense in dealing with parents to some degree, these teachers and administrators, that there's a disconnect? Because what you just said there is trying to keep it safe. And I know there are so many teachers dealing with parents and administrators that are frustrated that, we're not playing sports. That's one thing you keep hearing all the time. And, we want them to be back in the classroom. And you say you're making the decision based on medical, advice from the city, and yet you've got these parents who must hear the same thing. And just, I don't get it. If it was my son and child right now and I wasn't sure, they're not going to school, even if that means sitting out a year and not learning a darn thing. Because, a year of education or whatever is not worth their life or risking it. I simply don't get the disconnect there. Have you been able to figure out why those attitudes are there?
I think it's a couple of things. I mean, we have some parents who genuinely have to go to work and they don't have childcare. And even if they did have access, they're not sure that they trust that situation. And so, for some families, it is a genuine hardship to have to stay home with children. And I understand that. And I also understand how tired everybody is from social distancing, from not being able to do the things that make us happy. Sure. I get it. I would like to go out and have dinner with a big group of friends too. I would like to, go visit family members. I would like to travel. There's a lot of things we would all like to do, and it's been a while since we've been able to do it. And I understand people's exhaustion of trying to do the right thing, and it doesn't seem to get any better. But I think what people need to understand is, if you want to do those things, we need your help. We need you to follow every safety precaution. The other day I heard from a parent who said, I'm just tired of wearing masks. I think it's just time that we just went back. And all I could think of to say was, if you want us to go back, please wear a mask, right, so that we can bring those numbers down and do this safely. At the end of the day, what teachers are charged with is educating children. But first and foremost, we have to keep people safe. That is, people trust us with their babies. And so we have to do absolutely everything to make sure that our kids and our colleagues and our own families are safe. And so, we would just love more support from our communities, from folks that want us to go back, from folks that want sports. We all want that, but we have to make sure that it's safe first.
Yeah, well said. I agree. I mean, like I said, I don't get it. And that we know exactly, what works. So sorry if you're tired of wearing a mask. Boo-hoo. You're not going to be going out to eat or traveling right around. Boo-hoo. Ignoring it and saying I'm not going to do it is not going to make the virus go away. And we know what works. That's what just drives me nuts. But I understand you're correct. It is a hardship for some of these families that don't have daycare. And yet still, well, it's a hardship, but you're willing to possibly expose your child to a potentially death. What I'm going to hate reporting on, if and when it happens, and I believe it will happen at some point, there's going to be a child that dies. And there's going to be a link to that because they were exposed at school. I don't want it to happen. I'm terrified that it's going to happen, but I fear it's going to happen at some point at one of these schools. And the question will be, was it really safe for that child to go back? That scares me. Listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with our guest. If you'd like to join in the conversation, give us a call. We'll be back with more right after this.